Sir, we want to hear from you about yourself.
To introduce myself, I'll just say I've been a sailor throughout. So I started my sailing career in 2001 as fifth engineer, gradually progressed to chief engineer. So I've been sailing as chief engineer since 2013.
Hi guys, welcome on board KiloMike 9er, and this is another super interesting video in which today with me is the in charge of the engine room. So I think till now you have guessed it that yes, today with me joining here is chief engineer of this large LNG carrier. So he is sailing along with me. So please welcome Chief Engineer Sainath to share his experience and to tell you what are the duties of the Chief Engineer and how was his sailing journey from the cadet to the Chief Engineer. So welcome sir, welcome to KiloMike 9er. So I will not introduce him, but I will tell him to introduce himself. So, sir, we want to hear from you about yourself.
Okay, Kushab, thank you for having me here. My name is Sainath Dabholkar. I come from Pune, Maharashtra. So basically, to introduce myself, I'll just say I've been a sailor throughout. So I started my sailing career in 2001 as fifth engineer and gradually progressed to chief engineer. So I've been sailing as chief engineer since 2013, mostly on gas carriers. Basically my career has been on gas carriers. So I've sailed predominantly on gas carriers. Started my career on LPGs, and in 2006 I joined LNGs, and since then I've been on LNGs. So I've done different types of LNGs. So I've sailed mostly on gas carriers. So initially I was on LPG carriers, which are liquefied petroleum gas carriers, which carry cargo from 0 degrees to minus 45 degrees range. So that is one type. And then since 2006, I've been sailing on LNG, which carry cargo at minus 160 degrees centigrade. I have basically a motor and a steam license. So basically, for your knowledge, there are basically two major types of propulsion. One is propulsion by diesel engines, and second is by steam turbines. So we have to give different exams to sail on both types of ships. So if you are sailing on a ship driven by a diesel engine, then you have to give a motor ticket. And if it's a steam turbine, you have to give a steam ticket. So I have cleared both the exams, motor and steam. And so I have sailed on steam turbine driven vessels and diesel engine vessels. And I've been a chief engineer since 2013. So this is my 12th year, 13th year as chief engineer. So far, so good.
Thank you very much, sir, for your brief introduction. And as you have heard him, that he is a very experienced chief engineer since 2013. He is sailing as a chief engineer on LNG carriers. So, sir, as the chief engineer is the department head of engine department, and we all know it's a big responsibility that you have to look after everything in the engine room. So, how you will describe this from the chief engineer's perspective, or from your perspective more specifically?
As a chief engineer, basically my job is to, ship is it's like a big piece of metal, say floating on the seas and moving forward, propelling forward. So basically a lot of things go into keeping the ship running. It starts from basically the main propulsion, which normally is done by main engines, which are internal combustion engines. Then we have the generators which power the ship. Then we have lots of other machineries, cargo machineries to keep the cargo in its optimum condition. Then we have other auxiliary machineries like freshwater generator. People are staying on board. So water is required for them, also for the machineries, for their cooling. So there are freshwater generators, then there are air conditioners to keep the accommodation habitable. Then we have the fridge compressors to keep the provisions for the crew on board in a refrigerated condition, and many other machineries. So the thing is, we have to keep this machinery running, okay? And machinery don't run by themselves. Every machinery has its own operating life, and we have to maintain certain standards to keep them working. So my job as chief engineer is to ensure they are operating properly and they are taken care of. So we have various maintenance programs, which are of course prescribed by the maker of the machineries. So we ensure that they are followed. So my team, me and my team, we ensure that all the maintenance jobs are carried out on time so that the machineries keep running. So here my main job is to ensure that all the maintenance programs are carried out on time. All the spare parts required for the maintenance of the machineries are ordered on time and are received on time. And of course, to keep my juniors and my fellow crew members motivated so that they give their best to keep this big chunk of metal running in its optimum condition.
You guys have heard that Chief Engineer has explained his roles and responsibilities on this ship. Basically, the Chief Engineer's responsibility on all types of ship remains same, regardless of the cargo. But yeah, there are certain special measures which needs to be taken on depending on the ship type. So this is a LNG carrier. Depending on that, there are additional machineries like cargo machineries and all. So he has to look after that also. Thank you very much, sir, for that information. Being a chief engineer, so you are the overall in charge of the engine department. So could you please explain the day-to-day operations of the engine room to push this large LNG carrier to its destination?
Before I go on to the day-to-day operations, what we have is as I said earlier, we have a planned maintenance system. So where we have all the maintenance required for the machineries laid out in a very systematic manner. And we basically, what we do is we just refer to that. One day, suppose tomorrow is the working day, I have to do a certain job on certain machinery. So one day before, we look into what jobs are due next day. And myself and first engineer, who is my deputy, we work towards the plan, how to execute the job. And then we have a meeting with the deck department, which was the master and chief officer, and also the gas engineer for LNG carriers. So we discuss about a lot of things, about the weather conditions which will be there next day, so that we can plan the jobs safely. Then interdepartmental things are discussed. If we need help from the other department, that is discussed one day before. And then we come to a final plan, how to go on with the job. So next day, when the day of the job comes, so morning time, we have a meeting. So basically, engine room team consists of, that's a normal standard, chief engineer, first engineer, second engineer, third engineer, and the engine room crew. So basically, we all have a meeting in the morning where we discuss the jobs to be done, the procedures to be carried out, and most importantly is the safety aspect. As you know, we are at sea all the time, so personal safety is very important. We cannot afford to have any injury. We have to ensure that everybody is safe while working. So basically, that's in the morning. Basically, we discuss all these things and just stress on the safety aspect because the crew is generally crew and the officers are experienced, so they don't know their job. But sometimes the safety aspect is overlooked. So that's the main thing which is stressed on in the meeting. And then we get on to the jobs, the planned jobs which are there. So once the meeting finishes, then everybody disperses to their respective jobs, and basically but it all depends on what sort of job it is. Of course, if every engineer is assigned a specific machinery as per our company policy. So basically, he takes care or does the maintenance on that machinery, and one crew member assists him. So if some major job is coming, if there is suppose work on the main engine, which is the biggest machinery on board, then everybody works together. So that is the maintenance part. And for operations, there are a lot of operations which are ongoing in the engine room. Like we have the bilge transfer, we have the dosing of chemicals to various machineries, and then we have to most important thing which I forgot was first in the morning after the meeting, every engineer and every crew member goes around in the engine room to ensure all machineries are working properly. There's no leakage of any, because fuel oil is the most important component for running the machinery, and it occupies the pipelines and the tanks occupy a lot of area in the engine room. So we have to ensure there's no leakage of oil in the engine room, because it's a fire hazard. So basically, first thing in the morning is we take round in the engine room. Basically, everybody takes round in the engine room and ensure there's no leakage or any abnormality. If we find something, then we immediately attend to it, and then other jobs go on the back burner. So that's basically the start of the day. Then as the day proceeds, then various challenges come. Sometimes some unexpected thing pops up, and then we have to really scratch our heads how to get around it, and then look for spares. Sometimes we do not have spares. Then we have to manufacture something from waste, and we somehow manage. But that's the basic day. That's how the day goes. And then we work until the evening. We have lunch in the afternoon, 12 to 1. Generally, that's a standard on all ships. And after that, we resume at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then continue until evening. So that basically sums up the day in the engine room.
That was very nicely explained by Chief Engineer regarding the day in the engine room. So he has taken us from the scratch that what is happening in the engine room the whole day. So thank you very much for that information, sir. Have you faced any emergency during your Chief Engineer's tenure? If so, how you dealt with it?
Kushab, I have been sailing for last 25 years now. So I have had a fair share of emergencies in the junior ranks and as chief engineer also. They pop up from the least expected scenarios. So when you think everything is working fine and then suddenly something goes bad, and then you have to, first reaction to any emergency is shock. But then you have to gather yourself immediately. That's what experience and training comes into play. And then just try and work towards first of all, just see what has gone wrong and what is the magnitude. And in this, the most important thing is nobody should be injured. So basically, emergencies, like, it can be classified, machinery related or human related. Human related are the most dangerous ones because life can be lost in there. So we have to be sure about that. When it comes to machineries, yes, you have your training and what you have studied comes into play, your experience comes into play, and then you just see what has gone wrong and try to bring in all the experience you have and try to figure out how you can solve the problem. But the most important thing for me as chief engineer is not to panic, because since I am the head of the department in the engine room, a chief engineer panics, then it goes down into everybody else starts to panic. So even though I'm panicking within, because some emergencies are like that, I cannot show it to my juniors because they look up to the chief engineer. Okay, and I have to be the leader whom they look up to and guide them, because most of them may not have faced that emergency, or maybe I have not faced the emergency, but just somehow have to manage the situation. By God's grace, there have been emergencies, but they were taken care of. And of course, all the crew members who sailed with me during those times were really instrumental in all of us getting over those emergencies.
Now it's the 25th year of his sailing as a sailor on ships. So sir, we first congratulate you on your 25th year. It's a silver jubilee for you of your sailing career. But the things which chief engineer has told regarding the emergency, so emergency can happen anytime on any ship or at any place. So how to deal with those emergencies? So as chief engineer has rightly said that you should not panic in those situations. Instead, apply all your knowledge and expertise and the trainings which have been taken place, for example firefighting, uh, personal survival techniques, and all other trainings which you are doing in your cadetship or the refresher courses and all. So just apply those techniques and knowledge and face the emergency and deal with it. So thank you very much for that information, sir. Sir, so chief engineer is the rank at which all the young engineers look up to. So I want your opinion on how you are observing the youngsters working under your command.
So Kushab, unfortunately, I have not sailed much with Indian junior engineers. Of late, yes, I have been sailing, but in my entire career, if you see, it's 70% of the time it has been with other nationalities. I am very, very impressed with the junior engineers. Only thing I find little bit is the patience level. Patience level is missing, but I think that's how the new generation is. So other than that, I do not find any fault in the junior engineers. I think Indian shipping has a very long way to go, and these boys will ensure that our flag keeps flying high in the world's shipping. So, Kushab, for me, the most important thing when you're working is sincerity and hard work, of course. So so basically, when it comes to assessing juniors, my criteria, and I always tell them, you be sincere, because everybody, it's when you come on board, everything is new for you. So you have to start learning immediately, and only if you're sincere, you'll put in the efforts to learn and get better at your job. And the more you work, automatically you will get better. So most important thing for me is sincerity and hardworking, because sometimes things go bad on board, and that time you cannot be slack. You have to be ready to take on that job and work for as many hours as required. I cannot mention the number of hours we sometimes work due to a lot of regulations which are for our good, and but sometimes you have to work those many hours. So that is sincere. So if you are hardworking and sincere, I think you can manage.
Regardless of shipping, but any industry you are working on or any profession you are joining, sincerity and hard work works well everywhere. So these are the qualities which a senior officer or senior engineers are looking up to in the junior engineers, so that they will improve themselves every day when they are progressing up on the senior ranks. Thank you very much, sir, for that information. Things are evolving very fast in the shipping industry. So being on the spot of the top management rank, how you are managing the safety aspect, commercial aspect, and at the same time crew well-being and their expectations.
So Kushab, this is a very interesting question and a very tough one also, because commercial aspect, safety aspect, and crew well-being are all equally important. But for me, I feel safety aspect is the most important thing, because you have to be safe on board for yourself and your family. That is the most important thing. But sometimes you have to balance things. It's not that you keep on harping about safety and it can hinder your work. So you have to be very pragmatic about it. Commercial aspect is also, of course, commercial, because the commercial aspect is there. We are over here, so it's very important. Also, we have to keep our charterers, we call, who hire the ships. So we have to make sure we deliver the cargo on time, load and deliver the cargo on time, so that the ship's commercial part is taken care of. Crew well-being also equally important, because if the crew is happy, they will work safely. Okay, so all are intertwined. And as a senior rank on board, the senior officer on board, not only me, of course, all the senior officers, we have to ensure that all these three things are balanced. So, but for me, safety is the most important, because if you are safe, everything will fall in place.
As you have seen in most of my videos, everybody is mentioning about safety aspect. So safety aspect takes the priority, and it is very important to be safe on board, because you will not get the medical attention which you get ashore. So on board, you have to take care of the safety. That is why we are saying and stressing always that safety first. Sir, what tips you want to give to upcoming seafarers or the seafarers currently sailing on board?
I would like to share a very interesting anecdote which happened with me very early in my career. So before I started my career, so I was doing one of the courses, pre-sea courses, and I met one very senior chief engineer. He was very, very senior. So I just had a word, tried to take his advice on things. So one thing he mentioned to me, which has always stuck on to me, and I feel it's a part of me. So whatever I do is based on whatever I do on board I am driven more by that aspect. So what he mentioned to me was, see Sainath, you are joining merchant navy. Okay, you will be sailing on board ships as an Indian, but do not forget that your predecessors have done a very good job in international shipping. That's why you are getting a job. So make sure you work in the same manner, so that your juniors who will come later on, they will have an opportunity to join sea. That has always stuck to me. Our boys in India getting jobs at sea, because it's a very good career, very lucrative career, and I would like more and more of our juniors to join sea. That would be my advice to all the junior engineers. When juniors, who not only engineers, of course, all the juniors who come on board, that when you come on board, we have to show everyone what Indians are capable of. So if you have that thing in you, I think you will be driven to give your best on board.
You all have heard that Chief Engineer has given a very good tip to especially the Indian seafarers who are coming on board, joining soon or presently sailing on board. I would like to thank Chief Engineer because he has taken out some time from his busy schedule to make this video and join us here. I hope this video is informative for you. So if you like the video, do like and share. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe my channel. I will bring more informative videos like this in the future. Till then, stay tuned. This is KiloMike Niner signing off.